everybody. Can you start?
Yeah. Just give me a moment. Okay. So before we went into the before we went into the break, we were just discussing. We just understood the entire, the e-commerce space and the scope for it. We also spoke about, deciding on which product category you want to get into, or which service you want to get into, and understand the entire supply chain and value chain there. So the next aspect which I want to talk about is understanding the market, right? So all of us would like to do a certain thing, right? So we say, okay, let's say I'm passionate about, let's say designing, let's say some tops, right? But then is there enough potency in that business? So how do you understand that, right? So you should, what you should do is, you should understand, first of all, what are the competition which is there. When you step into the market, what is the kind of competition which you'll, which you'll face? And the second thing is, how are you trying to differentiate? How will you be different from your competition? So you should do a thorough study on that. The other aspect is understanding your potential customer. What is that customer looking for? Are you even offering what the customer is looking for? Right? So we might be good at certain things, but then that may or may not be economically viable, right? And it has to be done with very cold business understanding. So yes, we may be passionate about certain things, but if we're trying to build a business out of a passion, then we need to understand if really people are going to consume it the way I want it. Okay, so therefore, just do a dipstick market research. Just talk to a few people, maybe in your friend circle, and try and understand that whatever I'm trying to do is it really saleable? Will it actually work out? Okay. Then the next aspect is the communication. So we have been talking about communication in the beginning of the webinar. Also, we spoke about communication per se. Now, the idea is that one of the challenges of e-commerce, which I don't know how soon we can overcome that, is that it doesn't give you touch and feel, right? So like you step into a retail store, you can go and see the product, you can touch it, you can try it, you can figure out whether it's draping properly onto you or not. But in e-commerce, we cannot do that, right? So how do we overcome that? So of course, so one aspect is of we need to, build up certain processes internally. And the second aspect is we will have to um, make our communication so strong that people are communicated about the product quality on the and the authenticity, right? So of course you will have to design. I mean, most of you here are design students, so you will understand this when I say that you'll have to design your communication properly, right? So I'll just give you an example of a brand called Bewakoof. I don't know if you guys have heard of it. So there's a website called bewakoof.com. It's basically run by some folks out of Bombay. And if you've not seen it, please go ahead and see it. It's so the kind of they just do t-shirts, okay? And in terms of product, you might see that is not too wow, right? But the kind of communication they do around it, it's really to look at. So probably that can be one of the templates which you can follow. Okay. So what are the critical aspects of designing a communication? So one is you need to be clear with the branding which you're going to do. So branding in terms of your logo, the name, those aspects. Please do check for all the intellectual property with respect to branding. So it should not be you're copying something which is already there and then you'll get into a legal mess. The other aspect is, let's say you start something and it really clicks and you get really big and a lot of investment starts flowing into your business. So tomorrow you should not run into any copyright infringements. Okay, so just make sure that you check for the brand name registration details and then plan your collateral. So as I mentioned, the communication these days is more visual, more video based. So whatever collaterals you need to plan, you should do that. Okay, uh, whether it is on the website or whether it is uh, let's say mm, through some social media pages. Okay, so make sure that that is handled properly. The next aspect is you should get the a sort of rough business plan ready. So I'm not saying make something which has to be authenticated and done by a chartered accountant. If you can do that, great. But otherwise, at least run the numbers, because it'll give you an idea. It'll give you a perspective that how much time I'll take before I start making money and paying myself. Let me also tell you, entrepreneurship is not an easy thing. You have to go on you have to go through an initial grind before you can come up and start making money. So do make sure that you have a basic business plan ready. Okay, that, I mean, typical stuff, that what kind of sales you're looking at, what is the kind of clicks you're looking at, what are the costs which you'll incur. Okay, it can be, those can be guesstimates, they need not be exact numbers, but at least you should have a perception of what is that I'm getting into. Okay, uh, make sure that you identify your vendor base. Also understand the legal aspects of it. Are you going to set up a proprietorship company, or you're going to do a partnership business, a private limited or an LLP? Those kind of things you should uh, at least have a visibility of, right? So this basically sets your basic structure to start up the business. So the next aspect is something, how do we set up the store? So we spoke about researching the product, etc., etc. So I'm assuming that that part is now over. You have done your sampling, you know how my product looks like, you have done the basic SKUs. Now the next step is setting up your e-commerce store. Now this is a critical part, right? So the first things first, you need to register a domain name. Now, there are a lot of platforms which can help you with that. There is Big Rock, there's GoDaddy, there are a couple of other platforms. So you have to go and buy a domain name. Okay. In fact, you can buy a domain name from Google as well. It basically piggybacks on GoDaddy. So the first step is to buy a domain name. Now, depending on the product category you're entering into, your domain name has to be catchy. Okay, or it has to be attractive. So for example, I just told you about bevcoof.com, right? So it's such a catchy name, right? So I don't shop from Bevcoof. I've only come across it once, but it's there on my mind now. Okay, sometime back I came across one more website. It's called kaisanbar.com. So that's a Bihari or a Bhojpuri overtone to that, right? Or I got something called as awesome.com. So, right. So these are certain examples where you're trying to make it very quirky and very, catchy. Of course, it also depends on the target audience, right? So whether it's going to be a young audience, or you're looking at a mid age group management, or you're looking at certain senior audience. So it all depends on what your target group is. But that being said, first step is get the domain name in. The second thing is, probably if you guys are noting it down, you can note it down as well. The second thing is, you should consider taking up an SSL level security. Okay, so this is a security level which is defined by the web platforms. So basically what happens is, if you ever open a website, you'll see HTTP written and then www.xyz.com, right? So you are adding this layer of security. So your HTTP becomes HTTPS. Okay. And let me also tell you, this ranks your page higher when you're doing a Google ranking. So always make sure that you're taking a security, SSL security layer as well, which comes with the domain name itself when you're buying it. Okay. The next and the important aspect is which platform are you going to build the website on? Now, see, there are multiple things of doing it, ways of doing it. So one, you can say, no, I'll learn programming, I'll do PHP, Java on myself, and I'll create my own web platform, which is fairly fine. But then that is going to take you time. You will experiment. You will see this is working, this is not working. It has its own time. Your testing will take time, etc., etc. Now, out there are a lot of platforms which are plug and play. Okay, so you just need to buy them or you need to subscribe to them, and you can set up your web store on those platforms. So these are highly customizable, right? From the look and feel, right? From the processes which you want to build in, these are all highly customizable. So I'll just name a few, some of these platforms which you can look at. So one of the most popular is Wix, W-I-X. I'm sure a lot of you must have heard about it. Okay. The other very popular is WooCommerce. WooCommerce is basically a subsidiary of WordPress itself. If you guys know about website designing and all, so WordPress is one aspect. WordPress is a very strong blogging and web designing platform. These are basically all CMS, what we call as content management services. Okay, CMS. Now, and I always recommend to go with Shopify. So Shopify is another such platform, very strong, very rigid, and so that gives you a strong security also. Shopify. Okay, one moment. Right. So sorry. So you can look at Shopify, WooCommerce. To doing your own platform, all those things are possible. Usually I'll recommend not to program your own platform initially. You can go ahead and take one of these services. When you scale up, you can look at platforms like Magento, which are more technical and need some customization also. I believe if you are a little bit tech savvy, you can handle Shopify or Wix or WooCommerce on your own. There are a few more other platforms like Shopaholic, which is basically run from somebody from Jaipur runs it. There's something called a Shopmatic also, which is again a Singapore-based content management service. So you can use these platforms for setting up your store. Please do a compare and contrast, check what is the pros and cons of it. All of these have a recurring cost, so that should be a part of your business plan. Okay. So that is how you at least design, you first of all select the platform. Now, most of these platforms come with a predefined process. Okay, so there are certain things which you'll have to do, which will come in the process itself. Sorry, will come with these platforms itself. Now, there are a few other things which you have to look at. So what are the two other main things when you're setting up your web store? One is you have to collect payments from the consumers, right? And the second thing is you have to deliver the goods to them. Of course, you are not going to set up your own delivery team. So you'll have to tie up with some delivery partners, right? So India Post, for example, it can be your delivery partner, or there's a company called Delivery itself. So that itself can be a delivery partner. Okay. So what happens is these guys have their own APIs, which can be integrated to any of these web platforms. So as soon as the order is received on your platform and you confirm it, and it is packed and ready to be shipped, a communication can go directly to these platforms. I mean, you don't have to call somebody up and say, "Acha, now this is ready, please come and pick it up." It can automatically be, the communication can go from the software itself directly to these platforms, and they will assign some ID. One minute, please. So my battery is, oh, one more, please hold on.
Hello. Hi. Mr. Abhinav, can you give some information on freelancing as some student?
Sorry about that. Yeah, so we'll come to that, sir. I'll just finish this, and then we'll come back and take questions from the students. Okay, so we were talking about integration of certain services. So we spoke about the courier part or the delivery aspect. The other is the payment gateway part. So payment, basically you connect using payment gateways. Payment collection can be done through, let's say, Razorpay or PayU, nowadays UPI. So these are all pre-programmed. So you say, okay, fine, I need a payment gateway for, let's say, for Shopify. So they'll give you certain API. It's very easy. You can just do it. In fact, I recommend, so Shopify for 15 days is free. I recommend you guys go ahead and set up a test store and just see how it goes. Okay. The next important aspect is the design part. Now, as I mentioned, though e-commerce has a lot of potential, but it also poses a lot of competition, right? And what is very critical is how do you differentiate yourself, right? So one of the differentiating factor, apart from the product which you're offering, apart from the price which you're offering, is how you want to communicate, how you're going to design your website. Okay. So make sure that your website has a good landing page, the product listing is done properly. Those kind of aspects you should be able to take care of. Okay. And then finally, you have to just put these all together. You should, so there's an option of publishing the website when you're ready. So while you're doing all these, you're putting these things together, you need not publish it. So it will not be visible. So of course, domain name is something which you bought, but till you publish the website, people cannot see it. Okay. So the idea is just check the entire process flow, right from if the products are coming properly, listing is done properly, filters are applied properly, and if there is an order, how the checkout process is happening, is it comfortable, smooth? See, because now people already are shopping online, so they understand the basic process, and they will have certain bare minimum expectations, which will become a hygiene factor for you. So you have to make sure that your basic things are addressed. Okay. So the best way of doing that is do a dry run and do a checkout order to checkout process. You can create a dummy profile and you can log in and you can check out the entire process. And then finally, when you're convinced with everything, then you can go and publish it. Now, even if you publish, there might be certain things which you realize that this could have been improved. So that is how businesses are, right? So you always keep on improving businesses. Uh, so that is what continual improvement is all about. So, right. So that basically will help you conclude the website thing. So I have a few more inputs here, which I'll just like to give in before we can conclude this webinar, and we'll take some questions after that, which are critical. So other critical elements which I just want to quickly put across is, see, customers will not come to your website immediately. Even if you have a very good product, even if you have a superb designing, you need to have a customer acquisition plan, right? So how you're going to acquire customers, how people will come. Of course, you can expect your friends and family and certain references to happen, but that is not what will scale up your business. So you have a customer acquisition plan in place. Of course, that also means you will have to have some spends allocated for that, right? So that is something which you need to work out. Think of something which is very novel and something which is very unique, right? The next thing is a marketing plan. So a lot of people ask me, Abhinav, I'm selling online, and what can I do on social media? What can I do with SEO? What can I do with different platforms? So I tell them, hey guys, you're selling all offline, sorry, online. So that doesn't mean that you will market only online. So what stops you from marketing offline, right? So at the end of the day, you're talking about getting people onto your website and making them shop, right? So make sure that when you're designing your marketing plan, you're not only sticking to the online platform, but you're also looking at offline. Okay. Uh, the other aspect which I want to put across is integration of certain plugins and certain analytical tools. See, the good thing about online retail or e-commerce as such is that everything is being captured. All the data points are getting captured. You know, how many people, how many times people are coming in, what time of day they're coming in, from which territories they're coming in, which pages they're going to, which images they're clicking on. So everything is getting captured. You just need to have the right tools. So I always recommend, of course, you should have Google Analytics integrated. There's one more tool which is called a heat mapping tool. It's called Hotjar. It basically gives you a visual representation of how people are browsing your website. Okay, so it will give you, as I mentioned earlier, that is, this is one of the continual improvement tools. So it will help you improve, it will give you visibility, where more people are browsing, what they're clicking, what they are closing, right? So that is something which will help you. There are a lot of plugins available for the website. So right from WhatsApp plugin, or let's say some kind of promotion plugins. So there are a lot of plugins which are available. So always try to look at these plugins. They will make your website more, you know, they will make your website more attractive. The other thing is, I'm sorry, there's a typo there. It's supposed to be serve and adapt, not server and adapt. Okay. So the other thing is, please always know that you will have to have a service attitude. Okay. So though you're running a platform and then you are, you are a business owner, but at the end of the day, as they say, customer is the queen. I don't say customer is the king. I say customer is the queen because queen decides, what the king buys. Okay, and in fact queen decides what the kids also buy, or the princess and the princesses buy. So always remember that at the end of the day you have to have that service attitude and always adapt to what your customers are saying, as long as it is not hampering, or it is not deviating too much from your overall brand philosophy. Okay. Yeah, so I'll just quickly come at the few UX elements. So because you guys are designer students, so I thought I'll probably mention this about the UX elements. So UX is user experience. It's an next level of UI, which is user interface. Make sure that you work on your homepage, because homepage is you know uh, where people are landing on. So always have some product image or a hero image on the homepage. Don't compromise in that. Uh, Make sure that when you're doing the listing, if possible, always try to make sure that you're able to have models instead of just displaying the product as how it has been shown, right? Always give certain basic things like you should be able to enlarge the image, and those kind of things is something which should come in. Yeah, so before I conclude, I just want to put across that always remember the idea is not to drive the traffic to your website. So don't look at traffic, look at conversions. How many people are actually getting converted? Because that is what will put money in your pocket. Okay. So don't spend energies and marketing money on driving the traffic to your website. Always make sure that people are buying your product. Okay. So right, so that's about it. That's my LinkedIn profile. So if you guys are online, you can just scan this QR code that will connect you to me on LinkedIn. And if you have any queries, we can take them in now. Right. Thanks, Elisa. So that's all from my side. We can just take the queries.
Abhinav, I see we have some questions from the students and the viewers. So how about more information about the freelancing concept in web-based platforms? Something about freelancing. Can you elaborate?
Yeah, of course. So, uh, so freelancing, of course, is quite a possibility. You will have to associate yourself with some platform which is already there in business, and you'll have to start doing freelancing there. Uh, I'll just take a moment. My
Yes. It's not on. You can come here. So because we have limited customers in the online, especially the young and the adults. That's what some of the viewers would like to say, that most of the web-based platforms are being used by the people who are young and net-based. So what about the elderly also? I'm at lots of work because these
that's a
platforms are
that's a
very
very good question.
attractive, and most of us like, of course, we are from the old school of thought, and people may not be that happy with using all these gadgetry. So please throw some light on it, Mr. Abhinay.
Okay, so that's a very good question. Why, I mean, why can't we look at, why do we always have to talk about the youngsters? So there are two aspects to this. So one is India is a very young country. 50% of our population is 25 years and below, right? So that is a potential market. And these people have monies in the hand, right? So it is always better to look at that particular consumer segment. That being said, another aspect which I look at is the senior citizens. That is also one potential market which has been untapped. I don't think there are any brands or labels who are working on that as well, because today's senior citizens are also cash rich. They are also tech savvy. So yes, that is another consumer segment which we can look at. Why people basically try to target youngsters is primarily you can get them hooked on to your brand at a younger age, so that they can continue to be your customers, over a period of time. So that is the the basic logic. But then I will there's nothing. I mean, of course, we can look at another age segment as well, as long as your offering is relevant. Right? So that is what I have to say. I'm sorry I don't answer the freelance question properly. So I just want to add on here with respect to freelancing. Um, See, for any one of you who wants to understand how this works, so freelancing is a good opportunity instead of getting into an entrepreneurship mode immediately. So you'll have to connect with some, web platforms or such companies and explore if freelancing opportunities with them. So yeah, so that is what my submission is on freelancing as well.
Thank you. And one more question for you, Mr. Abhinav. That what about the risk factor in online business, especially the payments, and receivables, deliverables, payments especially. So, what are the risk factors for both, the consumer as well as the owner? Would you please?
Okay, so that's a great question, sir. So see, the none of the business is risk free. Um I think if you're thinking about the risk element, then probably should not even venture on the entrepreneurship side. But as you rightly pointed out, that is why we need to have a business plan in place, so that we have a certain visibility of when my business is going to turn green, it is going to get profitable. Now, on the face of it, as you mentioned, the risk elements from the consumer as well as the business owner or the entrepreneur side. So I'll address both. Now, if I'm a consumer, right? So I'm buying something, let's say from xyz.com. It's the first time I'm buying, so I don't know what kind of consumer service I'm going to get, whether my merchant is going to come on time or not. So that is where your brand building helps. So the idea of why do we get into a brand building exercise, or what does a brand give to a consumer? It gives trust, it gives faith. Right? So that is why your communication has to be very prim and proper, and you should be able to communicate about your brand and put across that, hey, listen, we're here to serve you, right? So the trust element is something which is very critical. Um, of course, nowadays, brands have a proper channel of grievance redressal. You can always WhatsApp them. You can always abuse them on Facebook if you want. But the point is, when you're going online, you're all the more exposed as a business owner. You're all the more exposed to all these vehicles of feedback, whether it is Twitter or whether it is Facebook. Just to give you a few examples. So owners have to be all the more careful when they're serving the consumers, and that is where you know consumer satisfaction and consumer faith will come in. Now, from an owner's side, um, the challenge is multifold. Of course, you have to, take care of your customers. You have to take care of your employees. At the same time, what also happens is, as I mentioned, that e-commerce doesn't often touch and feel. So you should also expect that some of the products which are shipped can come back to me. Okay, so handling the reverse logistics is something which you should be ready with. It should have been planned out. It should be there of your process map. It should be a part of the process map. So you have to, of course, you can't say no if somebody's returned something, right? Because it'll it's not a fire and forget kind of system which we're talking about. So it is end to end. It is last mile. So a lot of entrepreneurs I talk to, specifically who are in the manufacturing sector, and they say, "Acha, I want to get into retail. I want to go into e-commerce." So I explain these, the dynamics of e-commerce very clearly to them because it doesn't it doesn't work like so. For example, let's say you open a brand store and then there's a consumer coming to you saying that okay, this doesn't fit me or this is not right. So what do? You return, you exchange, right? So that applies to e-commerce as well. Yes, the way it is done is different. It has to be. I won't say it is a logistical nightmare, but that is the reason you need to tie up with proper logistics company who can handle your front end and back end backward logistics as well.
Yeah, thank you. So I hope the questions are clear for everybody. If you guys have any questions, you can post. If you guys have any questions, you can post. And please send your details to the email that to the college email. That is easy for us to send you the certificate. All the participants, please. And I think it's okay if all. Any questions? Right. So if you have at all, so you can always even directly connect with Mr. Abhinav. I think he has already given the details of Mr. Abhinav anytime. And so I take the this opportunity again to thank our resource person, Mr. Abhinav Srivastava, for having given us a nice talk. And probably we have initiated a lot of teaching, a lot of oysters have been, you know, um, been definitely tuned on to start a digital entrepreneurship. Anyway, so thank you so much, and I would like to take this opportunity to thank all the viewers who have been part of both the sessions in a very good, uh, in a very nice way, and also I take this opportunity to thank our beloved principal, Dr. Kaveshri Madam, for having given us all the encouragement to begin this webinar series. You will definitely find more interesting webinar series from this on. This is just a beginning. I hope all of our audience connected with us, and you will find wonderful seminars uh, from this onwards. So thank you one and all. I once again thank Mr. Abhinav. Thank you so much, Mr. Abhinav.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, guys. It was a pleasure being here and sharing my knowledge. Please ping me if you need some help. You can always reach out to me through the QR code which I shared earlier, or you can always reach out to Mr. Itki and he'll connect. Thanks.